What up, ladies and gentlemen, Chen Chen here bringing you guys another video. Today I'm here doing a very special video as we are going to be covering how to beat Vlad top 10 counters. So these are obviously mid lane because I play mid lane. If you're top, sorry. I think you should already know by now my channel's not really catered towards Vlad top, so nonetheless, it's still good for the champion and to learn micro. Regardless, we are covering the top 10 Vladimir hard counters in the mid lane. I made a whole freaking PowerPoint for this. There's going to be no gameplay, just me explaining and basically covering all aspects of each matchup in depth so you can understand. Obviously, the guide is made by yours truly. Remember to subscribe, like, comment for more guide ideas. Now, I do want to preface that this video only has 10, and these 10 were voted by my Discord. By the way, if you haven't joined already, join the Crimson Pact using the link in the description. But I asked my Discord what their top counters are for Vladimir, and they gave me a list. Number 10 will be like the least voted, and number 1 will be the most voted. Now, personally, I don't exactly agree with some of these votes. So that is why, if you want a part 2, where I cover more champions, make sure to comment down those champions, and let me know if you want a part 2. With that being said, guys, let's get right into it. Starting off at number 10, we have Syndra, and you're going to see that this PowerPoint, it's pretty, like, I don't know how to describe it, but this PowerPoint does cover a lot about the matchup. Remember, still no gameplay. I think it would take way too long to get a gameplay of every single matchup. But anyways, number 10 we have Syndra. So this is basically the least voted. It was still voted more than other champions, of course, but you know, this was the least voted. I think it's very important to cover what makes it considered a counter for all of these matchups that I will be going through, all of these champions, right? So I have a couple points here, and you're gonna kind of see some repetitiveness just because Vladimir has obvious weaknesses, and majority of the champions that counter Vlad probably abuse these weaknesses. So the first thing that makes it a pretty hard counter is range difference. Syndra just completely blows Vladimir out of the ballpark in terms of range. All her abilities outrange Vladimir, by the way, so it's really hard for Vlad to actually get close to her, close the distance, and, you know, do anything to her. Second point, we have Poke. We all know Syndra and her Q. It's literally like a 3-second cooldown. She spams it. Very little mana usage. And it does a pretty good amount of damage. It does like maybe 100. And as she gets more items, it does like fucking 300. And with her full combo, it's pretty lethal. So she definitely is a Poke champion. Not only that, she also has a stun setup. Now, you're going to see that this is a pretty big counter to Vladimir. Any sort of CC is a counter to Vlad, let's be honest. Because if you're stunned, if you're CC'd, you can't press pool, right? Oh, pool is so broken, guys. So broken that you can't press it when you get stunned. So any mid lane champion with these type of stuns, knockups, CC setup, very hard to deal with. Fourth point we got is Insane Burst, ladies and gentlemen. When she unlocks her ultimate, it's literally a one-shot if you don't use your pool correctly. It's super annoying to deal with. If she's fed, she doesn't even have to land anything. She just presses R and you're gonna get one-shot. It's so insane. And the last point, which is kind of summarizing everything, she plays like a lane bully, right? She's very aggressive, very in your face. If she plays like this, huge counter to Vladimir. If she plays like a pussy and doesn't use any of her abilities, well, you're in luck. That Syndra probably is just horrible at the game. Moving on, we have tips. So, majority of these slides will have around 5, like, you know, items or things, but some might have more. It depends on the champion, of course. First tip I got is movement speed. This is a no-brainer. Against champions that have these type of skill shots that are pretty hard to land, movement speed is going to be pretty good. You can get this in the form of early boots, spellbinder. That's pretty much it. But movement speed is very important, and it's kind of just important to keep in mind. if you don't have movement speed, if you have base movement speed, super hard to get on top of her. Um, and that's why Phase Rush is really good against this matchup. Second tip I got for you guys, Dorn Shield is gonna be shown in a couple of these slides. Dorn Shield is just such a good item against specific champions like these. Syndra is out to Q permanently, right? She's gonna Q you in lane whenever you try to go for a CS. Dorn Shield is going to help ensure that you take less damage, and probably Dorn Shield will save you a couple times in this lane itself. Third tip I have, give up CS. If you're low or half HP, it's not really safe to go for every single CS. Majority of the time you want to see her wave and see what minion she's going for. If she's going for a minion, you go for a minion. And that way you can kind of stay together. But if she's out to look to punish you and poke you, just give up some CS. At the end of the day, you're still going to be able to one-shot her late game. Very important to give up CS. Fourth tip, abuse wasted E. This is her only self-peel, right? And this is very common amongst other champions too. They might have one ability that literally prevents you from going into them, but if they waste it, you have to abuse it. This kind of ties into my other tip, which is zigzag in lane. I can't really describe this because League is kind of slanted, right? It's literally like slanted in an angle. But you'll understand, like zigzag in lane, so mid lane, you want to left, right, never up, down, if that makes any sense. And you're going to see zigzag in lane is pretty common tip that I give amongst other champions as well, because you have to get used to moving in that type of way. Against Syndra, you want to zigzag because her E, it goes up and down. So if you move left and right, there's a very high chance you dodge it instead of moving up and down. It's so hard to describe, I know, but basically, the minions, she's gonna E the minions into you. You just want to walk left to right, if that makes any sense. Pretty hard to describe. Anyways, last tip we have is save summoners. This is pretty important because the only way you can kill her is if you have flash and ignite. Very crucial. Majority of the time, Syndra are going to respect the fourth tip, which is when she doesn't have E, she's not going to go in. That's why flash is very important, so when she does waste E, you can be the initiator. You can go in and kill her. Moving on to the last slide of Syndra, I think it's very important in terms of understanding when you can actually kill this hard matchup. So this is just universal amongst all champions, and you'll see that Vladimir has pretty much the same time frame to kill every of these hard matchups. You can see the bottom 3 layers. Those are going to be almost literally exactly the same for all my other champions. And then at the top, I'll have something, you know, unique for the matchup specifically. So for this matchup specifically, you want to have your flash combo ready. This is flash, ignite, and ultimate. Now, I want you guys to really understand that you cannot do the flash combo unless you have somewhere amongst the other 3. So either you have 20% CDR, you have magical footwear, boots, or tier 2 boots, or you have core item, which is proto belt and spellbinder. Like I said, those 3 bottom tips, very universal amongst all of these matchups pretty much, because that's when Vladimir spikes the hardest. Against Syndra, I would mostly say magical footwear and 20% CDR is your best time to kill her. Pair that up with your flash combo, you're going to solo kill her, you're going to make her slow down her tempo, and allow you to continue solo killing her, pretty much rendering her useless. Moving on to the number 9 hard matchup is Yasuo. Now, this is very interesting because personally, I don't think this is a hard matchup, but it did get voted quite a bit. Got voted more than Syndra, so once again, have to understand what makes it a hard counter. First thing we have is his early damage. We all know Yasuo. He E's onto the minions and then he just autos you to death, which that's literally my second tip actually. Like, I've seen Yasuo's miss every single Q possible, but they still outtrade you because the ability to E and then auto while continuously chasing you is super strong, and that actually ties into the third one. he just sticks onto you. He eats the minion waves, and then he auto. You are going to die. His autos do so much freaking damage early game, and it's really hard to combat that as a Vladimir. So this matchup it's not the easiest, but I would say it's a skill matchup. Regardless, fourth thing that makes this a counter is his ult CC. His ult CC is, I would give it a good 2-3 seconds-ish. And not only that, but it's also doing damage while you're being CC'd up in the air. So once again, any champion with that type of CC is very hard for Vladimir to deal with. Yasuo's ult does a tremendous amount of damage while CCing you, so his ult definitely makes it a pretty big counter. And he can itemize MR. Any champion that can build MR against Vladimir is going to counter Vlad. Alright, that's just the nature of how Vlad works. I've seen Yasuo build Wit's End first item. I might as well alt F4. Like, it's literally unplayable. You can never kill him, but he can still kill you because guess what? Autos. Auto. We already know. Alright, moving on to the tips. First tip we have is avoid early fights unless you have a minion advantage. I've won this matchup so many times because Yasuo players have the biggest ego, I swear to God. They're super cocky. So they're literally gonna dive into you at level 3. Like, they're gonna dive under your turret, take 3 fucking turret shots, you know, eat 2-3 waves of minion damage. It's insane. So you really want to avoid early fights unless you have a minion advantage. Number 2, keep the wave always near you or the middle. This is because of his E. Remember, he sticks onto you extremely well. Keeping the wave near you or the middle will allow him to have less room to actually play around his E, his dash, and his damage, right? Another tip is auto his shield before going in. This is mostly for when you can actually kill him. You want to auto his shield, and then you want to use everything. R, E, Q, Ignite, W. Just throw everything. You're most likely going to win if his shield is gone. Number 4, play for your spikes. First and second back are the most important in a Yasuo matchup. So long you have opportunity to buy really good items, play for those spikes, and you can absolutely destroy him. And the last tip is the in and out trick. If you don't know this trick, it's basically where you're walking. Remember how I said left to right? In this case, you are walking up and down into him. And what this does is, majority of the time, he's actually going to miss his EQ when he tries Beyblading onto you. This is really good, especially in the early game, as he's trying to trade onto you early. You can do this trick and negate a lot of his damage. If you don't understand it quite well, watch my How to Beat Yasuo as Vladimir. I do showcase a demonstration there. So when can you kill? Like I said, bottom is the same thing. I'm not going to explain that any further. Pretty easy early game if he is chunked. If he is half HP, there's a pretty high chance you can actually kill him with auto a couple times, and then E, Q, Ignite, and then finish him off with Pool. A lot of the times you can actually kill him like that, but only if he is chunked. And how will he get chunked? Not from you trying to poke him. Don't try to poke him. Majority of the time, you poking him, he retaliates, he outtrades you. You're not going to win it. You have to be smart about it. If anything, just farm. Farm up, get your item, and then kill him. It's that easy. Moving on to number 8, this cancerous fucking champion. Hate this champion. Definitely in my top 3 most hated champions. It's fucking Zoe, dude. What makes it a counter? Pretty obvious. Her early damage is ridiculous. Alright, her passive gives her literally like ×2 auto attacks. So even if she misses all her abilities, you're gonna die. Alright, brainlessly broken as the second one. This is pretty interesting wording, but it's true. Like, she's so fucking broken, dude. She can miss everything but auto you to death. Like, it's absolutely insane. Her passive needs to be deleted, I swear. Right? She gets maybe like 300 extra damage because of her passive if she uses her Q, E, and then W. It's ridiculous. Also, double Ignite equals GG well played. I don't think I have to explain it. If she picks up Ignite, She uses it on you. She has her own ignite. That's literally 400 HP under her W, which also does damage and movement speed. Under her passive, which also does 100 damage. You get my point. So it's just GG well played. All F4, honestly. Number 4. It's so hard to flash away from a Zoe because most of the time she can steal it, and then when she steals it, she utilizes it. She gets movement speed because her W gives movement speed, and she does extra damage. And her active, or her passive, is ready. So she's just going to auto you for 100 damage. So it's really hard to actually utilize flash. Majority of the time, I'm going to die to a Zoe because I can't use my flash. If I use my flash while being low, she steals my flash, and then I'm going to be flashless and be absolutely tilted. And last but not least, she can one-shot you if you decide to sleep. I think this is pretty obvious. If she luckily lands her E, you're going to get one shot. Literally. No counterplay. Moving on to tips. First tip is the best tip I can give to any single player of League of Legends. Just dodge. You're going to save yourself so much time, so much effort, so much molding. Because if you play against Zoe, 9 out of 10 times, you're just going to want to quit League of Legends for the rest of your life. It's never a fun experience to play against this champion. Second tip I have is Doran Shield. Once again, this is a very common good item against these type of poke champions. For her autos just does way too much damage if you don't go Doran Shield, and her Q poke as well. Number 3, always stand near minions but kind of adjacent to her so she can never really hit her Qs. If you don't stand near minions, she's going to be able to line up an E and make you sleep and you die. It's better to stand near minions and prevent her E than actually allowing her E and allowing her full burst. Number 4, do not use summoners unless you are 100% all-inning her. What I mean by this is 9 out of 10 times you have to guarantee you can all-in her. So you're going to burst her down, she's going to be very low HP, and she's not going to be incentivized to actually go back and steal the summoners that you use. So you want to flash in, ignite, just use everything really quick to a point where she cannot react fast enough to process, hey, I need to be a little bitch and steal this guy's summoners and run away. So you want to make sure you use your summoners really quickly and just 100% all in her, guaranteeing that you can kill her. And last but not least, a really good tip that I should probably do, but I don't because I'm really greedy of a player. Go Merc Treads or Cleanse. These will help you a lot against her. Not being able to land or utilize her bubble to the full effectiveness pretty much counters her as a champion. So Merc Treads or Cleanse will be your best friends. In terms of when you can kill, like I said earlier, flash combo is going to be common against a lot of squishy champions. For Zoe, it is the same thing. You want to use your flash combo, kill her, make sure you have items to do it so, and you'll be good to go. Alright, the 7th champion is Neeko. Now, Neeko actually doesn't see too much play, but she has been getting buffs recently, and maybe she will come back into the meta. She definitely does counter Vlad, though, and her kit does as well, so let's discuss some of the things. First off is her burst and poke. I put these together because her Q is poking, but it's also bursting you at the same time, if that makes sense. Her combo, her kit is just pretty much, it plays like that. It plays to poke you through small burst, and then you're just going to lose your HP. Second tip, she does slightly outrange you, especially with her E. If she E's Q auto, you're not going to be able to outtrade her or even touch her at that point. Third one, it's hard to trade or set up. Same thing. Because she slightly outranges you, you can't really touch her. And you can't really step up because of her W. It's really hard to catch on to her. Fourth thing is her spammable stun and Q. Her Q is a very low cooldown, and her E is a very low cooldown. So not only does she has her poking ability, she has her snare and setup ability constantly, which is really, really hard to lane against. And lastly, you are pretty much forced to save your pool for her ult. That's the only real way you can kill her. If you don't save your pool for her ult, she's just kind of getting too much value out of it, and you're not utilizing this matchup to the full potential. you're gonna have to save your pool for her ult, and that's where you can kill her. Some tips against the Neeko matchup. Doran Shield, our good friend Doran Shield, once again, it's going to save you so much in this matchup. Her Q, her E, her autos, her W, her everything. You want to have Doran Shield. It'll prevent a lot of her damage. Zigzag in lane, once again. If a champion has some sort of linear stun, like Neeko's E, where they're trying to, go through the minion wave into hitting you, you want to be able to zigzag in lane, go left, right, constantly, move unpredictable, and be able to dodge her E. Tip number 3, you want to get your power spike, your item power spike. So in this matchup, literally the only hard part is early game. Towards the late game, you will be perfectly fine. So get your items and you will absolutely crush her. Another tip is you can ult both her bodies when she splits for more heal. So if you're in a struggling position and she decides to W, like say you're at like 100 HP and she's trying to go for a kill and she Ws to try to get a movement speed, just ult both of her bodies. You will actually get double the heal, which is very, very good. And you should be able to run away. Another tip is you should EW right before she ults for maximum damage. So once again, saving pool for her ult. EW, probably throw an R there as well, and you should be able to kill her in majority of the cases if you have your items. Yeah, I'm not going to explain too much, just basically get your item power spikes. Moving on to the ninja himself, Zed. Personally, I hate this champion, absolutely disgustingly broken, especially with the buffs. He's been top tier for so long now. It's Zed. So what makes it a counter? Pretty obvious. His burst, right? Burst is absolutely ridiculous. Second part, his trading pattern. It's really hard to out-trade him, right? He W's, E, and then Q. Alright? Either he lands it, and you're half HP, or he misses, but he's just gonna play safe for the next second, and then wait for his abilities to come up, and do it again. His trading pattern is absolutely ridiculous, and a good Zed will be, tethering his range to where you can never really touch him. It's just insane. Third, his all-in potential. This kind of lies in with burst, but Zed, he really likes to just go all in, right? He W, E, Q. If he lands all of it, he takes his W, he autos you down, and then Q, ignite, and you're probably dead. It's absolutely insane. Fourth one, his roaming potential. I think a lot of these assassins have this thing called roaming that they can do, and it just counters Vlad so hard. If they get 1 or 2 free kills, the matchup all of a sudden becomes nearly impossible. And if they continue roaming, your teammates are going to be inting, you're going to be trying to be even, perhaps, with this matchup, and still you're going to end up losing. So Zed, like amongst a lot of assassin champions, have this roaming potential that they can abuse and make Vladimir useless. And lastly, you're forced to save pool for his ult. I think this is more practical than the Neeko one. You're actually forced to save pool for his ult. If you don't, you're stupid. Like, why would you not? Your pool counters his ult, but it's also a negative thing, because if he chunks you out low enough and you pool trying to, dodge his ult, he's still going to kill you. So anyways, moving on to tips. First tip, and the most common tip that I definitely recommend, you can go the Seeker's Arm Guard Rush. This is very, very good against Zed. Now, if your team is inting, Seeker's Rush is not going to be good. You won't be able to actually carry the game. You're stalling your item spikes and your power spikes just so long. So this is why I don't really like this matchup, because it forces you to buy an item that stalls you to, like, 1100 gold is a lot, so it stalls you out really hard. Second tip, this kind of ties into the last slide, just save pool for his R. It literally counters, right? Third tip, stay near minion wave. This way you won't actually get dealt maximum damage from his Q. Remember, if his Q is hitting you directly and nothing's like blocking it, it's going to do more damage. So stay near your minion wave to block his Q. Fourth tip, I think this is a really good tip. You want to never freeze against Zed. This is because majority of the time, your best time to abuse Zed is when he is actually under tower and he's pressure. He doesn't have the greatest wave clear, and the only downfall of his trading combo where he WEQ is cooldown, right? So if he utilizes it, he won't have that cooldown for a couple good seconds. So you want to never freeze a wave, never give him an opportunity to roam and push his lead, you know, start being more useful than Vlad, and actually be able to win the matchup. And lastly, be super, super aggressive. I've beaten so many good Zeds just by being extremely aggressive. A lot of the times, yes, when you're playing Vlad, you can, you know, power farm for 30 minutes and then become useful. But in this matchup specifically, if he uses his trading combo, you want to be super aggressive. Be up in his face, auto him to death. It doesn't matter. Just be aggressive. You have Ignite, you have Pool, especially early game. So many times you can actually kill him early if you play this properly. So when can you kill? Like I said earlier, Ignite's going to be your best friend. Ignite's super helpful in this matchup. And you can also kill if he is chunked out. Similar with Yasuo, if he's half HP, your basic combo should be able to kill him. Moving on to number 5, we got Mr. Let me press R and then you can't move for 20 seconds. It is Malzahar. What makes it a counter? Pretty obvious. First off, he has insane amount of poke. Poke in the form of dot, right? His damage over time, super annoying, and it just... Honestly, I should be calling it a burst because it literally takes half your HP if you decide to get coronavirus all up in your ass. Anyways, his E is quite ridiculous to say the least. Second part, he outtrades you. This is pretty obvious, I think. His basic combo will outtrade you no matter what. Majority of the times, you're actually going to want to kill him. And all in him, 100% to 0, 100 to 0. If you don't do this, you're just gonna get out traded. Like, I mean, you can try to trade, get him low, and then set up a kill, but you know, you kind of have to all in this champion to really do anything against him. Third thing, he has insane gank setup. I think this is pretty obvious. He presses R, you can't move for 20 seconds. Number 4, CC late game. This is very important. If a Malzahar saves his R for you, you're not going to be able to play the game at all. Alright, I'm not kidding. Like, you're literally going to build a QSS just because of Malzahar. A lot of the times when you are the only carry, the game's over. You might as well FF15. If you're the only carry, Malzahar is going to save his ult for you and you are going to die. And lastly, his damage late game. Dude, his E late game literally one-shots you under a slow. Malzahar just does way too much damage late game. And his silence as well, which is pretty annoying for Vladimir. Some tips against Malzahar. Kill his voidlings as much as possible during laning phase. Whenever he summons those, you just want to kill him right away. Not only are you getting more gold, but you're also stopping him from pushing as fast as he can possibly push, which is really good, of course. Alright, second tip is go Proto Belt. This is pretty obvious. Because of his shield, Proto Belt is going to help you delete that shield before you can actually all in, which is very, very important. Third tip is ask for gank assistance. This matchup is going to be impossible if you do not have a jungler. Just because of the nature of how it works, like, his R just stops you from actually going in unless you're able to 1v2 him, and that is going to be your best bet. Fourth tip, break his shield before going in. This is pretty obvious. You don't want to try going in with him having a fresh shield. That's just stupid. Break it, and then go in. And then last tip, if even, you want to go all in after he uses R. So if in a pure 1v1 situation, you want to go all in when he uses his R. You don't want to run away because you're half HP or maybe you're 1/4 HP because he chunks you. You want to go all in, and majority of the time you should be able to kill him because he used everything on you. And yeah, you can't just run away because he's just going to kill you. So when can you kill? Ignite or break his shield. Pretty simple. Moving on to number 4. This is probably my number 1 most hated champion in League of Legends. I'm gonna be honest. Alright, I absolutely despise Ekko as a champion, as an icon in League of Legends, as everything. This champion pisses me off to the maximum. I hate Ekko players. I hate everything about this champion. Sorry if you're an Ekko main, but it's just ridiculous, right? What makes it a counter? First off, insane burst, right? Obviously, he's an assassin. What do you expect? Just absolutely insane burst coming from Ekko, right? He has his Q, he has his E, he has his passives. So much damage out of nowhere, out of his ass. Number 2, he is very fast and mobile because of his passive, where he gets 3 autos or ability procs. He's able to zoom zoom. Also his E and his R. He's just super mobile. Third thing, his R. His R is actually a very direct counter to Vladimir. If he plays it correctly, you can almost never realistically kill him unless he is really retarded, which, you know, it's an Ekko player. What do you expect? But his R does actually counter Vlad a lot of the times. Number 4, his trading pattern, right? He uses his combo, and then he gets the hell out in 1 second because of his, once again, his movement speed. This is a trading pattern, and you can't out-trade it. It's really hard to out-trade it. And last thing is just me ranting. Like, the champ has a free phase rush and electrocute built into his kit. Like, you have to understand that. When he procs his passive, or whatever the bullshit is, he gets a free phase rush, electrocute. He probably takes the rune electrocute, so he gets 2 times electrocute. It's just fucking ridiculous. Anyways, moving on. Tips. Keep the wave near your side. This will prevent him from actually trying to E into you, as he might potentially accidentally teleport to the, you know, near your turret, and he takes turret shot. Zigzag in lane. This is very important, especially after he E's. 9 out of 10 times he's gonna miss his Q if you actually zigzag. If you walk in a straight line, of course he's gonna hit you. So you want to zigzag, right? Move unpredictably. Another tip, if he's missing in lane, you want to always be mentally prepared for his W. Right when you see him appear, just expect that he placed it his W. And, you know, walk away from the minion wave, walk to a place where he probably wouldn't place it, and then continue your lane. 4th tip, you want to pool right before he dashes into you, so you can actually counter his E animation, and you can actually potentially out-trade him with this combo as well if you do it properly. Last tip, you want to ult after you burn his R to pretty much guarantee kill. You can burst him down extremely easily if you R after he Rs, right? You can maybe do like a basic combo, E and then Q, bait out his R with Ignite or something, and then after he Rs, you R, E, W, and finish him off. There's no counterplay. This is the best tip I can give you. If you play it properly, if you do this properly, you should be able to beat the matchup. So when can you kill? Pretty obvious. If he has no R, you have a lot of kill pry on him. He's pretty much not a champion if he doesn't have R, because of how one-dimensional he is, right? If he's going in, he's pretty much forced to go all in, especially if he can't proc his passive. There's just no way he can run away. So if he has no R, abuse it and make sure you can kill him. Moving on to the 3rd champion, personally, one of my most hated matchups, it's the fucking Kassadin. We all know how this works, so what makes it a counter? Pretty obvious. He outpokes you with his Q, because his Q is a shield, and it also does damage, so a Q for Q trade is never worth. He can also burst you with his basic combo, his Q, auto W, E, whatever bullshit. His basic combo will actually burst, especially with electrocute. Like, that can actually one-shot you. It's actually insane. So be careful. You want to almost never get into range of his E, so he can't slow you. His all-in burst, this is pretty obvious as well. His R into his basic combo is just super all-in, and it bursts you the hell down. So if you're not healthy, you're 9 out of 10 gonna die to his combo. Now this is one that, you know, makes it pretty obvious as a counter. This is why Kassadin is really good against a lot of AP dealers. His passive takes, I think it's 15% reduced magic damage, which is pretty ridiculous. 15%. It's somewhere around there. 10, 15, 20, somewhere. And last but not least, he is an assassin hyperscaler. Vlad sucks against assassins. Vlad sucks against assassin hyperscalers, quite frankly. So he literally can one-shot you late game before you can even press your W, so just be very cautious. It makes this matchup very, very hard. First tip, you're going to want to burst him down. You're not going to survive the lane if you try to like sustain and do that type of stuff. You have to burst him down. This is why personally I take Spellbinder in this matchup, and probably with Dark Harvest or Electrocute, because your only real window of killing him is early game. I'm being real honest with you guys. Second tip, auto, 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 auto. How many autos do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Just auto. He has nothing that can stop your auto, right? His passive takes reduced magic damage. His Q has a magic shield. Auto is physical, so you just auto him to death, and you're gonna be good to go, you know? Might as well start Dorn's. Might start Dorn's Blade and just auto him to death. I'm kidding, by the way, but Dorn's Blade actually isn't bad, but just utilize your autos, right? If you're taking a Q for Q trade, you want to get a couple autos in while you're at it. Third tip, pray your jungler has a brain. Kassadin does not move anywhere. He's like a turtle pre-6, right? He has no sort of mobility, so if your jungler has a brain, he should hopefully camp Kassadin at least twice. If you're 2-0 against Kassadin, the lane should be pretty much over. Fourth tip, you want to all in if he uses R on you and you can kill. What I mean by this is, if he R's into you, and you have, like, let's say, Spellbinder, Ignite, just all in, use everything. Throw everything. Do not try to be patient with it. No, you have to throw everything. Utilize the fact that his R is off cooldown, and he has no way to escape you. He's literally in your face, just all in right there. Fifth tip, become Faker and pool his R with millisecond reaction time. This isn't really realistic, but, you know, if you can predict when he Rs and pool it, you'll be good to go. Majority of the time, you should be able to actually kill him. And last tip, which is a pretty good one, you can start Cole and just pretty much kind of outscale him in the mid game, but late game he's going to come back. So Cole is definitely an option. When can you kill? It's a little different from the other ones. That's because, you know, it's fucking Kassadin. So when can you kill? Early game. If you chunk him, sustain, and then go for a kill early game. But if you make it to late game, 9 out of 10 times Kassadin is actually going to win. We're moving down to the number 2. This is Orianna. Alright, Orianna, the ball master. What makes it a counter? Pretty obvious. Poke. Her Q is like a 3-second cooldown. Trading pattern as well. She can QW and then E within a shield. You just can't outtrade it. Pretty obvious. Her all-in potential with her R is actually ridiculous. Like, I used to complain about this champion pretty heavily about saying how it's not broken, and you know, some people might actually agree that it's not broken because it's just such a safe pick with so much utility. It's actually kind of insane. That's why it's a really good blind pick. But when she has her R, she can literally 100-0 you with 0 counterplay if she's fed enough or with the proper items. It's really disgusting. Fourth thing is her roaming potential. This is pretty obvious as well. Her W gives her movement speed, and she's just able to roam a lot. You'll see a lot of Oriannas going into team fights and just overall doing much more than Vlad, which kind of ties into the fifth thing. She just impacts the game more than you. Like, you're always going to be worse than an Orianna unless you can kill her somehow in lane. Alright, tips. You're going to want to burst her down. This is pretty obvious. You're not going to win the poke battle. Don't try to Q for Q. That's stupid. You have to burst her down. You got to 100-0 her before she can, you know, retaliate, right? Zigzag in lane. Once again, her Q is very linear, one-dimensional. Well, technically, it's 3-dimensional. She shoots it anywhere, but zigzag in lane so you can actually dodge her Q. Be very unpredictable with your movement. Dorn Shield, very, very recommended. Her QW does so much fucking damage if you don't have Dorn Shield. Fourth tip, save pool for her ult. This is a no-brainer. Her ult's going to be a disruptor for you, and it's a shit ton of damage. You're just going to save your pool for when she ults. And the last tip, movement speed, right? So you can actually dodge her shit. Get boots, get spellbinder, get phase rush, nimbus cloak, all of the above. Get everything, please. That's the best way to counter Orianna. When can you kill? Standard things. Get your items, play for your items, and you should be able to kill her. Number 1, this was the most voted champion with, like, I think 7 or 8 votes total, which is pretty insane. It's Cassiopeia, alright? Cassiopeia, the snake lady. Now, I do want to preface, personally, I don't struggle with this matchup. I think this is honestly a pretty easy matchup, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, what makes it a counter? She has a poke and burst with her Q. Q is, you know, her poke, and her E, she can chase you down with an insane amount of burst. She also has insane sustain with her poison E, and Conquer as well. Like, so many times I fought against her, and she actually out-sustained me with Conquer, where she just pretty much killed me because she sat there and spammed E, and I died. Anyways, you also can't really look at her. You're gonna always want to, this is kind of hard to explain, but your movements are always going to want to always end up looking at the back in terms of fighting her, because you don't want to get hit by her R, of course. And Miasma, bullshit ability. I think grounded should not be in the game. It's so cancer, dude. When you're stuck in there, especially if another champion CCs you while you're in Miasma, you cannot move, you cannot play the game, right? You can't pull, you can't flash, you can't move. Just nothing. Like, Miasma is a huge counter to Vladimir. And last but not least, she outranges you with her Q, auto, and E. And I think her R even ranges all of your abilities. Tips: farm and scale. This is the best tip I can give for you guys. This is what I do every single game. I just farm. I get what I can, right? Second tip: don't even step near her range. This kind of takes experience, but I understand her Q range, and I never step near it. This ensures that I'm going to farm, and towards the mid game, I'm going to kill her. Third tip: give up CS. This kind of ties in with the second one. You just don't want to touch her. Don't get near her. Fourth tip: as for gank, she doesn't have mobility. You can kill her pretty freaking easily. And last but not least, kill her when reaching power spike. Kind of ties everything together, right? You want to farm, scale, get your power spike, and then you should be able to kill her. When can you kill? Basic things, right? Get your power spike, boots are very important, and just have your flash combo ready to kill her. And that is pretty much it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helps. I spent a lot of time on this PowerPoint, a lot of time on this video, so please, if you can, just leave a like. These are some other champions that, you know, are high contestants to counter Vladimir. So, if you want a part 2, comment it down, and comment down what champions you would like to see in a part 2. We can do 5, we can do 10, because I know this was a pretty freaking long video. Anyways, that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to smash the like button, join the Crimson Pack by subscribing to the channel. That's pretty much it. Hope y'all have a great day. Chen Chen out.